Hey brother, I've asked you and our audience a few times who your favorite Disney princess is, and I'm always surprised when people say Princess Leia, because even though Disney did buy Star Wars, she is not technically a Disney princess at the moment. So today I wanted to discuss the possibility. Could Leia ever become a Disney princess? Look, I got a new chair. No more staple poking me in the leg and ripping my jeans. Whenever people answer this question with Princess Leia, I always just sort of assume they're trolling. Like, my favorite princess is Princess Leia. Star Wars isn't Disney. Actually, they bought him, so yes, she is. Actually, joke's on you, because even though Disney bought Star Wars, she's still not technically a Disney princess. Allow me to direct you to this SuperCarlinBrothers video. That's when you send them to this video. But I understand the confusion, because she is a princess in what is now technically a Disney movie. But just being a princess in a Disney movie doesn't make you a Disney princess. You need to think of the phrase Disney princess as more of a title awarded to only Disney's most elite group of marketing assets. Role models. Role models. Now, being awarded that title can be a little complicated. First, you need to be the lead female in an animated Disney movie. Second, you must be human. And third, you cannot have been introduced in a sequel. That last one tends to trip people up. It doesn't mean you can't appear in a sequel. It just means that you can't have been introduced in one. Like, Ariel's daughter is a lead female character in a Disney animated movie, but because she was introduced in a sequel, she's not up for consideration. Then, after you meet those requirements, you must also have either been born royal, marry royal, or perform an act of heroism. Then, even if you pass all of those requirements, you still have to pass the unofficial test of box office success. So, how does Leia check out? Well, let's get rid of the easy ones first. She was born royal, she's human, and she has more acts of heroism than I can count. Successfully hid the plans from the Death Star, recruited Obi-Wan Kenobi, led the attack on the Death Star, killed Jabba the Hutt, led the attack on Starkiller Base. I mean, the list goes on. So she does have a lot going for her. But was she introduced in a sequel? No. Yeah. Well, kind of. Technically, she was introduced in Episode 4, and I think if we do a little bit of math, that was not the number one, but it was the first Star Wars movie made, and originally Episode 4 was going to be the only Star Wars movie, so the fact that it became part of the series could be considered a retroactive condition. But on the other hand, when Disney bought Star Wars, there actually were a total of 6 movies, so maybe that's your starting point, and if that's the case, then it really just comes down to what order you think you should watch them in. I mean, that's a whole video you can watch, like, over here or something. So yes, it's debatable. But for me, she gets the pass because she was introduced in the first Star Wars movie made. Honestly though, it's sort of a moot point because she totally fails the final requirement, being the female lead in an animated movie. Lead, yes. Animated, no. And that's kind of a big deal here. Except, there is an animated version of Leia in Star Wars Rebels, an animated TV show produced by Disney. But it is just a TV show, not a movie, and she's hardly a main character. She's appeared once, and that wasn't until Season 2, Episode 10, so really that's not much ground to stand on. What is a lot of ground to stand on, though, is that unofficial test of box office success I mentioned earlier. Because if ever there was a successful franchise at the box office, it's Star Wars. Episode 4 came in at a mere $307 million in 1977, which would adjust to $1.2 billion today. Even if you want to just throw that out and only count movies that have been produced since Disney purchased Star Wars, that's no big deal because as of right now, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is at $914 million domestic and $2 billion worldwide. That means Leia is actually defeating the otherwise most successful Disney princesses, Anna and Elsa of Frozen, by a cool 800 million, so yeah. No big deal. Except that's a huge deal. One could argue that that number literally buys Leia a pass on the not being animated problem. Heck, they could even just use the animated version they had in that one episode of Rebels. I mean, would any of us care? No, I don't think so. But alas, there are still two problems. First, Star Wars was not conceived by Disney, it was acquired by them. They didn't invent the character of Princess Leia, and frankly, she really doesn't fit in with the other princesses. Plus, problem two, the Giselle precedent. In fact, there has been another live-action princess who was denied Disney princess status despite having box office success and an animated counterpart. Giselle of Enchanted. Giselle was actually on track to become a Disney princess, except for one minor legal problem. Amy Adams portrayed Giselle in the live-action version of her, and by doing so, became the live-action version of her. Like, no one else can portray her likeness because, you know, they're not Amy Adams. And Disney really couldn't hire her to just walk around Disney World all day, although that would be awesome. And similarly, I don't think they're going to be able to hire Carrie Fisher to just walk around Disney all day either. Even if they could, I imagine they would probably want a younger version of her, no offense. Actually, that brings up a very good diversity point, because despite Disney's efforts to diversify their princess lineup via race, they're all still pretty much the same age. I would love to see an elderly princess at some point. How cool and different would that be? But in any case, that is why Princess Leia is not, cannot be, and will not ever be a Disney princess. But Ben, my question for you and everyone else is, do you think she deserves it anyway? And do you think we will ever have an official Star Wars Disney princess? And would you like to see an elderly Disney princess? Let me know in the towel section below, and I will see you in another life, brother.
These socks are amazing!
Guys, thanks for watching. As always, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Disney princess information. If you want to see a princess doing it right, you can click here to see my top 10 reasons Mulan is the best Disney princess ever. And if you want to see some other princesses who just missed the title, you can click here to see my top 5 snubbed Disney princesses. Till next time,